Good afternoon, everyone. Thank everyone for coming. We're going to roll through our E911 board meeting. Please stand for invocation of bowed heads. Oh, gracious Father, thank you for a beautiful day, oh Lord. Lord, we ask you to please bless this parish. Bless the leaders of the parish and the constituents of the parish, oh Father God. Bless all the professional servants, oh Father. Let them do their day-to-day business. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Follow me in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions and deletions to the E911 board? If none, any guests and public comments for the E911 board? You have anything to say, Mr. Daniel? Okay, well, we'll roll right down to the new business. Approve the February 20th, 2024 minutes. So moved. Got a motion by Mr. Parker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Item number 2, authorize payment of approved bills and accept the financial statement as of February 29th, 2024, and year-to-date budget to the actual report prepared by Dees and Gardner, CPA. Do we have a motion?
Your motion.
Have a motion by Mrs. Boyd,
Second.
second by Mr. Baker. Any discussion on this matter? There's no discussion, please vote. We got one remaining, might be me.
It's Miss Brooks.
Motion passes. A motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I got a motion by Mr. Holmes. Second by Mr. Raines. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. We adjourn of the 911 board.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. We'll shortly get set up to roll into our regular meeting. Okay, everyone, we'll call the regular meeting, call to order. We'll just kind of go on down. We already did the pledges and the invocation, so we'll go down to, any call for additions and deletions to the regular meeting. If not, we have guest and public comments. Mr. Vinique.
Beneath
Guest
anger.
and public comments?
So good afternoon, Vineet Iyengar. I'm the Executive Director for Connect LA. We're the Louisiana State Office of Broadband Development and Connectivity. And so first of all, really grateful to you inviting us to, or inviting me to come and present, give a sort of state of the union on all things broadband. Over the last couple of years, we've made incredible progress as a state to addressing the digital divide. We've committed $131 million out of a $176 million to impact 66,000 locations. In fact, I was here December 4th because we committed dollars to a company called NextLink, which has successfully built out to over 200 households within the DeSoto Parish area. And so that project is already complete. We're doing the technical audit, and based on the technical audit, once it's done, we'll remit payment to the company, and then those 200 plus households and small businesses will officially have been receiving internet through some of our Gumbo 1.0 activities. Now, that is not the end of the digital divide here in DeSoto Parish. And so we're fortunate to receive, through the infrastructure bill, the 8th largest allocation of funding in the country, 10th largest on a per capita basis. And we still have a significant digital divide that exists within DeSoto Parish. And what you see here, and hopefully what the audience will see, is what remaining locations in DeSoto Parish are truly considered unserved, and what remaining locations in DeSoto Parish are considered underserved. Because we are going to very soon, within the next 3 to 4 months, open up a grant round for the $1.355 billion that's going to impact over 160,000 unserved and underserved locations in Louisiana. We're going to do it all at once. So it's going to be one big, massive grant round, and we're going to try to knock out the problem once and for all. Out of those 160,000, if you look at the map here, what we're saying here is that there are 2,787. So the top number on the left, when it says eligible, that will be eligible for funding through the infrastructure bill. Of that 2,787 locations, 2,576 are unserved and 211 are underserved. So if you look at the map on the right, so this is obviously DeSoto Parish, every pink dot represents an area, or rather, every pink dot represents an actual household address or a small business that currently does not have internet today. And what we're going to do is we're going to create project areas within DeSoto Parish where internet service providers will apply for those project areas to impact all 2,787 locations. So the reason why we're taking responsibility in creating these project areas is to ensure that as part of the grant making process, there are no donut holes that are created. And I think everyone's frustration has always been, well, on one side of the street, people have internet through a federal program. On the other side of the street, no one has it. And so what happens is you create these sort of jigsaw puzzle and donut holes of folks that have it in one area of the parish, folks that don't have it. And so the intent here is, with our infrastructure bill money, is to make sure every single pink dot and blue dot, and you'll see the blue dots sort of at the southeast part of the parish, receive a federal fund through the infrastructure bill. The required match of 25% is borne by the internet service provider, so not you. So the parish or the police jury does not provide the match. We will ask the internet service providers to provide the match. That's one. The second is really there's, and I'll leave it up to y'all, but I know certain parishes have done studies in the past, or they've been asked to do studies. In this case, we're going to direct the money based on this map and based on the locations where people truly don't have service, and for folks that do have service, but it's not good enough. if you scroll a little bit to the bottom, that says the green, right? The green dots represents every single household and small business in DeSoto Parish where they may not have internet today, but there's a federal obligation to build to those locations. And so with our funds, we can't go to those 2,943 locations that are funded already, because then that's double dipping and that's against federal and state law. And there are 7,835 served locations in DeSoto Parish, which means these are folks that largely have internet service. And so that's the folks that live in the northern part of the parish, in Mansfield and dotted throughout the parish. So that is sort of the state of the union. Our plan is to open up the grant round in June, close it in October, obligate the funds in November, and then once we've obligated the funds, and we have to obligate all $1.355 billion by the end of the year, then the execution risk moves from our office to the internet service providers, and then they have to do what's in their best interest, which is to build as quickly and efficiently as possible throughout the parish. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, Vinny. Behind you.
Oh,
What is the requirement the jury needs to do? What do we need to do to move forward with this in June when the funding opens up?
so nothing. In short, nothing. Because we would have taken care of the responsibility of identifying the locations. We would have done the responsibility in going through a process to ensure that every single one, at all 2,787 locations that are unserved and underserved, no matter how rural they are, we're going to make sure every one of those folks are covered. So really nothing. Now, once the awards have been obligated, but even for those projects that have funding already, so all those green dots that already have a federal fund, what I would strongly encourage all of you to do is this is going to be the big challenge, right? As these projects get funded, then all of you, right? So within Public Works, your permitting offices are going to get slammed with tons and tons of permit requests. And so turnaround time for those permits are going to be really important. And so the faster y'all have a methodology in turning around permits, then the faster these projects get built, and the faster people in DeSoto Parish get what they truly deserve, which is access to high-speed internet.
Okay, we got one more over here.
Yes.
Yes, good evening, thank you.
Hey, yeah.
What would be the average cost per household once it gets established?
So for the consumer,
Yes,
so this is really a capital expenses program, CapEx program. So we're going to fund up to 75% of the capital expenses for a company to build to a location. And so they are then going to take those savings and then pass it off to the consumer in terms of reduced prices. But what we did last year is we actually passed state law such that if you're, I'm gonna throw an example. If you're an AT&T and you offer 100 by 20 services for $30 a month, okay, or $35 a month, and you're in downtown New Orleans, right? So there's competition in New Orleans, or Baton Rouge, or Alexandria, or Shreveport. There's competition, multiple providers. The state law says whatever you provide in an urbanized market, in a highly competitive market, you have to match that same price for those same speeds, for the same quality in a rural market.
so no price gouging.
Correct.
Gotcha, thank you.
There's no data caps. That's in state law, so we're gonna make sure there's no data caps. And the prices have to largely stick for 5 years. Now, prices can increase subject to CPI, but that's capped at 3% a year. So it's not, so in this case, you're not gonna see, $40 in the first year, $40 in the second year, and then suddenly $200 in the third year. It'll be $40, and then if they have to increase prices because of what's happening around the world, it's like $40 and it's 3% the following year, and then 3% the following year. They're allowed to do that based on requests they make.
Will it be wise for the parish to go in with a feasible study or without?
I'll leave it up to y'all. You guys are the police jury, right? And y'all can make decisions locally how you see fit based on the demands of the constituents. What I'm saying is that we're going to use this data that you see right now to help direct the funds. So if the intent of your feasibility study was or would be, okay, I can help identify where to invest those funds, especially on the infrastructure side, we're going to do that already because we're directing these funds where these dots are.
Beneath, the 10,778 ineligible, did you speak on those?
So the folks that are ineligible, what that number is broken down by people that are funded. So those are the green dots. That's 2,943. Again, the funded means you may not have internet today, but there is a federal obligation to build. Like someone has given a federal obligation to a company and they're going to build either this year, next year, or what have you. And then the ones that are served, and again, by the way, this map doesn't, the way you see it right now, obviously there's not 10,000 dots. As you zoom in, you start to see more and more and more dots, okay? So that's just a disclaimer. I mean, if you start to scroll, you start to see more and more dots, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you just keep going. You see, that's when it, right? So, and the folks that are served means that they actually have internet. So let's click on a dot, right?
One of those dots might be my house, but it ain't
Well,
good. It ain't good underneath.
Well, look, so this is an example. I don't know where 811 Gibbs Street is. This is a residence, right? Not to pick on. Hopefully someone here may or may not live at 811. That would be really random. But this is an address, 811 Gibbs Street, Mansfield, where these are all the providers that we consider are unserved, but Sparklight Cable One says that they serve to that location. And that's the speed that they offer. So if you go click here, right, this is 5488 Highway 84, Mansfield. Obviously, this person, I think this is let's see if this is a residence or not. This is a business. It is unserved. So this would be a target for us. So what we're going to do with this map is basically break this map up into chunks of project areas. We're going to make that public for the state sometime after Easter. So that'll be an opportunity because sometime after Easter, we're going to take, let's say, DeSoto Parish, and we're going to create 2 or 3 or 4 different project areas. And we're going to make that available on our website, and it's going to be for a 30-day public comment period where folks like y'all and others in the community can actually say, hey, I disagree with this project area in terms of how the state of Louisiana defined it. I think you missed some locations or what have you. So we're going to make that public after Easter.
When do you foresee all of this is done, completed?
Well, we have to, for the entire state of, so with the 1.355 billion, we have to obligate those funds by December 12th of this year, and that money has to be spent. So it has to be zeroed out by December 12th, 2028. So which is not a whole lot of time. So I'm estimating that these projects will take 2 to 2.5 years to 3 years, 2 to 3 years to build.
So y'all gonna start north and work your way south?
No. So the way it's going to work is, no. We'll know after Easter the way that these project areas are going to be laid out.
Mr. President, would you ask the audience? They may have some questions as well.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think everybody interested in it.
This is public comments. Anybody?
Oh,
So what y'all are seeing, no one here can see that. No maps on the boards.
Okay, so, here,
Can you get them?
Stonewall Friars, Keychild.
Well, I think if it was on the board, you probably still wouldn't be able to see it.
Well, there's
It's
a web
small.
page
I was gonna ask
access.
well, look. So that's a fair look. We're gonna take this map and we're gonna fine tune it a little bit more, and we'll make it public on our website just after Easter.
Can you announce your website so everybody else?
It's connect.la.gov. Connect.la.gov. In fact, as part of, that's going to be a really important first step before we obligate the funds. So one of the things we're going to start to do is, again, we're going to travel around the state, informing and making sure people are aware of what they're actually seeing in the project area. So we can come back.
We have a lot of
Is there any more questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Benito.
I appreciate you coming up. I didn't realize you were gonna come up when I spoke to you at the conference.
Well, you asked us to come up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your help and most importantly, your advocacy and push for trying to get stuff done for the people in DeSoto. We'll knock the problem out once and for all by the end of the year.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Benny.
Is there Mr. Richardson Jefferson on Medicaid?
this one's good. This one's- These two.
Good evening, everyone, and we really appreciate you allowing us to come and do a presentation in regards to Medicaid. And I ask that you don't start my 3 minutes until I really kind of introduce myself. I'm Richard Jefferson. I'm the coordinator for what we call the Medicaid Unwind Program in the state of Louisiana. I'm actually the coordinator over region number 7. This is one of the outreach workers that's responsible for you all's area, this parish here, which is DeSoto Parish. To give you a little history about myself, I was a regional director of the Department of Revenue for some 20 plus years before I retired in 2013. I know that Tansy and I may not look like it, but we're both nearing 70 years old. And I did not want to take this job, take this responsibility. But when the state told me that I would be helping people, then I really wanted to volunteer, but they decided to pay. We work for a nonprofit organization whose abbreviation is really Swallahec, SWLAHEC. And their home office is in Lafayette, Louisiana. We have 80-something employees. We work for like a subcontractor through a grant for the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals. The purpose of what we're doing is not since 2020, people they were not required to recertify for Medicaid. Okay, so starting in May of last year, they wanted people to recertify. And what we've been doing is it's been working like a reverse call center, whereby we actually call those persons every month whose Medicaid is expiring in that particular month to try to get them to go ahead and recertify. It does not take a whole lot. We have a website, you can do it. We have what we call ambassadors that can come and meet you to help you recertify if you need their help. How we have been handling things in a lot of the parishes, we've been starting at administrators, school superintendents, police jurymen, trying to explain the program to them and then to see what we can do to even better what we're already doing. What we did for some of the school systems is we went and did a presentation, just like we are doing here now, for the superintendents. After we did the presentation, most of the superintendents said, hey, look, we will help you all. Give us the flyers from grades K through 8. They said high schoolers don't care anything about this, so that they could take them home to give these flyers, and we can leave some here, but we want to, I got it upside down, but we want to make sure, if you all will allow us, if you tell us the schools where they are, and if you tell us the number of students that's in K through 8, we will hand deliver these forms to each of those schools so that the teachers will assist in the kids in getting them in their backpacks and carrying them home. Hopefully we understand that This Medicaid, it applies to a person's health. And then at the same time, it also applies, it can be in regards to how your population, the growth of your population, because it also qualifies them for other benefits. You know, so we wanted to do this presentation to let you know what we're all about right now in your parish. For the month of January, we do not have the February statistics out yet from the Department of Health and Hospitals, but we have been responsible for 49% of the people in this parish. So that's 49%, I believe, out of 412 people. Next, for the month of February, it's a different number because they expire every month. You know, so we're trying to work this program and do what we can to help everybody out that qualifies for this. You know, some people lost their jobs and they probably still didn't get another job since COVID. You know, so we're just here to hopefully get you all to assist us. If you want us to leave flyers, if you want us to leave them to carry some to the schools, we're more than happy to do everything that we can to help. All right. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Yeah, sure. Would you please leave some flyers? No.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, oh, go ahead.
Have you had a chance to meet with the DeSoto Parish School Board?
No, sir. We have not met with their school board yet.
That's the one organization that can help you with the flyers to the kid.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
go to them. But I appreciate what you're doing, and yes, leave some flyers.
Yes, yes. And I tell you, one thing that we've been able to do, you all have a food bank out on 509, and I believe that their database has like 500 and some people. So we were at that particular event. We do events too. You know, I believe the last time I was down here, there is I think a Methodist church that kind of sits on a hill in this area. And they wanted us to come and do a presentation for the latest group or something like that. But we don't have a problem going out and doing presentations and helping people in every way that we can. Y'all have to kind of stop me because I've been pastoring for 25 years, and sometimes if folks don't say amen, I kind of go a little long. But,
That'd be the reverse.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Administrator Michael.
Richard, good to see you again.
Oh, yeah.
I used to work with this man for many years when he was with the Department of Revenue. He and I partnered on a lot of deals. Please leave me a lot of your brochures or the flyers, because we have an office of community services.
Okay.
That we can probably distribute through that as well.
Okay, we have more in the car. This is probably 300 or 400, but I have 2,000 in the car. So we'll make sure that we leave some, and then if you all just communicate back with us.
And your contact information, just give
Yes,
that to me when you're done.
Absolutely, have some cards, I'll give them the cards.
And again, thank y'all for coming.
No problem at all.
Appreciate it.
We'll leave some cards. And we also have some push cards. We'll leave some push cards with you all also, which has the same information on it, front and back. Front and back, same information. So we'll leave all of that here. We'll leave it with my webpage.
Good deal.
Okay, thank you all for allowing us to come and do a presentation.
Yes, sir.
Y'all probably noticed Tanza has a left hip problem, I have a right hip problem, but we making it.
Yeah, that's the
Y'all
balance.
have a good one.
That's the balance.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
I was gonna speak on the old motion, the old business motion. Do you want me to do that now or when you call that up?
You can do it now.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Joe Hernandez, HPI Benefits, along with Sabrina Lane, we're the insurance agent for the police jury. I talked to Mike and Lily. I mean, this conversation of the self-funded health plan is still relevant, in our opinion. And so, what I told Mike, what we were working on is having firm reinsurance proposals for the April 1st committee meeting that carry a June 1st effective date on them. So the problem we've run into in the past is that the stop-loss proposals generally are only good for 60 days. So they wouldn't even give me a 6-1 proposal right now. They want to drag that out another week, get another month of claims data from United Healthcare to firm that up for 6-1. And so we're asking for an exception for them to give it to us a week early so that we can get it in your hands before the April 1st. Typically, they would give it to me on April 1st. That doesn't work for your purposes, for your meeting, and I understand that. We are still working with Blue Cross. We are working with 3 of their 4 preferred stop-loss carriers. So 3 of them are still entertaining the offer. But stop-loss proposals are very finicky and they're very time-sensitive, and there's a lot of risk involved on their end, and so they want to make sure that they are doing their own due diligence. Of course, I understand in y'all's case, your committee has to get it, they have to vote on it, and then it has to carry to the regular meeting, which there's, some time in between. But I just wanted to assure y'all that that's still on our radar. It's still our top priority, and we're working on that.
Thank
So
you.
if anybody has any questions at this time.
Any questions? Insurance?
So, I do. Joe, do you think we could get something for the committee, even if it comes that day? Yeah. Okay. If the jury's okay with that, and Robbie, if you're okay with that as the chairperson, we can schedule a motion on the agenda to deal with that issue, even if we don't have the backup from them, and bring the backup, and then y'all would still have the 2 weeks to review the information before it's ratified. Does that sound fine?
Right.
Okay.
The
Sounds
intention
good.
is to have it by May 25th, though. That's what we've stressed to them.
Right.
But they're national carriers with sometimes other priorities, so
Yeah.
we ask. We don't always get what we ask for, but we do
Right.
ask, so.
Well, we'll try our best.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there any more guests and public comments? Yes, ma'am.
The last vote for the 911, it didn't show how y'all voted. Is that new? That's changed since I've been here.
I think it did.
We have a new computer, and we're still working out the bugs. The software hasn't changed, but just how it's reflected up there is,
On the
we're
screen.
working that out, so.
Thank you. President report, none. Council report,
None.
administrative report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Item 1, a road program, 3-year asphalt overlay and concurrent projects. This is a project that will be coordinated between the road chairperson, Mr. Ernell, myself, the parish engineer, and the road department management. The 3 allocation to be funded out of the road and bridge material line item and cost approximately $100,000 per juror, or about $1.1 million each year. This does not include concurrent projects that will be completed each year for roads that utilize oil mix or gravel or things like that. My staff and I will be meeting with Mr. Ernell soon and present something to the jury, hopefully for the April committee meeting. We've been trying to connect with Mr. Ernell, but we've been unable to do so far. Item 2, roads completed. Hannah Tucker, Cody Lane, Jesse Ladden, and Kyle Porter roads have been completed and striped. Our substantial completion certificates have been filed with the clerk's office, so those roads are ready to be driven down and open completely. Item 3, the 5-year capital projects. 2 weeks ago, I had an in-person visit with 2 policy directors for Governor Landry. I placed directly in their hands the list of roads for which we have filed through the capital outlay program for 2023, which is a $60 million request. In addition, I gave them the fiscal numbers for the severance tax that has been submitted to the state since 2001. To put it plainly, I made a strong argument for the state to take action for an extremely rural parish of around 27,000 people who have consistently sent to the state's coffers for the past 5 years nearly 1/5 of the entire severance tax generated statewide. 1/5 of the entire severance tax. Now, that's everything. That's wood, oil, natural gas, lignite, everything. 1/5 has come out of DeSoto Parish for the past 5 years. Since 2001 and up to fiscal year 2022, DeSoto Parish has generated what is equivalent to almost $700 million in just severance tax. While the fiscal year 23 numbers have not been released, it is speculated that those severance tax dollars are well north of $100 million. Within the next couple months, I'll be going back to the Capitol to testify to the urgency of our claims. This natural gas play that has certainly been a boon for DeSoto Parish brings with it infrastructure issues that must be addressed, specifically in our roads. Item 4, February DEQ visit to the landfill. As many of you know, we received a routine inspection in February 2024 for the Mundy landfill. I've sent each of you a copy of the inspection report. Per DEQ's notes, there are a few issues that the superintendent addressed. Y'all each have a copy of that in your box as well. Item 5, the Borough Pit excavation. The certificate of completion has been filed for the Borough Pit excavation. The cost of this project has come under budget, approximately $25,000. Budget was $735,000. After final payment, total cost is around $710,000. Item 6, Cell 10 construction and advertisement. This project has been submitted to the paper and Bid Express. The bid opening for the project is April the 11th at 10 a.m. in the jury office. The mandatory pre-bid meeting will be April 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. The OPC on that, opinion of probable cost, is from $4.1 to $5 million. That's just for the construction. That's not for the whole project. We have about $8.1 million allocated in our budget for the cell construction. Item 7, auction location and possible dates. The dates that we are looking at will be on a Saturday on one of 3 possible dates at this point. May 4th, June 8th, or June 15th. We're waiting on a confirmation from the auctioneer as to those dates. Location will be at the road department, same as last year. And just to make sure I put this out there for all jurors to be aware and all employees to be aware, it is prohibited by state law for an employee of the police jury to bid on anything that the jury auctions. It doesn't matter if they're working in the solid waste department and they bid on a road item, they can't do that. So that was a question that came up the last time we had an auction a couple years ago, and that is state law. I've confirmed that. Item 8, DeSotoVotes.com webpage. The webpage has been updated, present to the public information regarding the upcoming election on April 27th. There is information on the website providing constituents with links to the Registrar's Office, Secretary of State's office, and early voting information. I'd encourage y'all please share that with your constituents. That's a webpage that the jury owns that we can get information out. I'll be posting something to our social media sites as well for the tax renewal that's coming up. Item 9, term limits. Representative Rodney Shammerhorn has introduced a bill, HB 241, for term limits this legislative session. This bill is a statewide bill that will affect all police juries, not just DeSoto Parish. As y'all recall, y'all passed 6-5 to have discussions with our legislators to do a term limit bill. Unfortunately, to do a local bill, the timeline had passed. Y'all put this on the agenda in February, but the local bill requirement, you had to be posted by sometime in January, so we missed that deadline. However, I just wanted to bring y'all to your attention, and I think our lobbyist is going to make you aware of that bill as well tonight. Item 10, animal shelter grant. Our animal director, Barbie Higginbotham, has successfully received an in-kind donation valued at $110,902. The in-kind donation is in the form of medicine that is used by our shelter for treating fleas, ticks, and heartworms. This will offset the cost of much of the medication at the shelter over the next few years. Item 11, April 6th event at the animal shelter. There will be an event at the shelter to help raise awareness for pet adoptions and money for the shelter. You will find a brochure on your desk giving you information on that program. Please share it with people on social media. To my knowledge, I think they've already raised approximately $3,000 and they haven't even started the project yet. It's going to be on the 6th. Item 12, the Ronald McDonald House groundbreaking. There will be a groundbreaking ceremony for the Ronald McDonald House on April 3rd, 2024 at 11 a.m. located at 9100 Susan Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana. There is an invitation in your box, so if y'all would pick that up before you leave, so you can be aware of the the groundbreaking ceremony. That's my report, Mr. President. If any of y'all have any questions?
Any question for Mr. Norton?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment. I will be participating in this. So I will be staying the night there with my little puppy friend. So when I go live and ask for donations, please assist me. So my baby gotta be walked and potty and all that night.
And I have one other item. I didn't get this on there, but I want to make y'all aware, after much discussion with our new parish engineer, Michael Reister, the quotes have been sent out for the parking lot.
Okay.
Put in your calendar, we should have quotes back first week in April to begin construction on that parking lot. So hopefully we'll put a pin in that and get that project done.
Really?
If not, please blame Michael Reister. And lastly, I'm going to take just a few moments for myself. I'm going to be going out of town Thursday. My first grandchild is going to be born Thursday, so I will be out of town from Thursday until. Yes, I know I'm only 49, so anyway.
Congratulations.
I thank you. So.
Okay. You done, right? Okay, our lobbyist report. Ms. Chance?
Good afternoon, members of the jury. So before you, you should have a handout that is our written report for this month. Just big picture, the legislature came in on the 11th of March. And, you know, there's the bill filing deadline is April 2nd, I believe. So bills continue to be filed on a regular basis. So the list that I have in front of you of bills to discuss tonight, it's not a complete list, but it is the list, you know, as of the date that I put this together. One thing to keep in mind is that there is the governor included in his opening remarks about the session that he intended to work with the legislature to have a constitutional convention of sorts soon. And so it seems that the regular session will end early and that there will be a constitutional convention. I don't think that that's been done since the earlier mid-70s. 1974. And so that's certainly a unique development that I've not been through before. But a lot of what's being talked about is perhaps taking many constitutional provisions and simply copying, pasting them into revised statutes. And so what that would do is, you know, in any year, the legislature can change the revised statutes, and they do it very frequently. The Constitution is changed only through legislative action followed by a vote of the people. And so over the last many, you know, decades, many believe that the Constitution has been amended so many times it has gotten too long and too restrictive. And that's also one of the reasons why anytime we have a deficit, really the only places that the budget can be cut is healthcare and higher education. And so, and elementary and secondary education to some degree, but mostly healthcare and higher education. So they're trying to, there seems to be this movement to go and really change the Constitution by putting it into state law so that it can be much of it into state law so that it can be amended on a more easy basis. So we're not sure when that's going to happen, but they're saying, hey, maybe we'll end 2 weeks early or something like that. Right now, the regular session should end on June 3rd, I think, early June. And it looks like it's going to be certainly during May when they wrap up. And so what that does, it makes all the bills that people are trying to file, everything's kind of going faster than it would normally go. Any questions about that? Nope. Okay, so I highlighted some bills for the jury. Just in particular, I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'll just start from the top. And mainly, I wanted to include this bill by HB 89 by Larry Bagley, number one, because he's your representative. But what it does is it would let the the register of voters in this parish and others, you'd be able to have 3 positions. And right now, I think it's either only 1 or 2, but basically it's changing the threshold and it would allow DeSoto Parish to have up to 3 positions in that office, which would include the registrar themselves. Tammy Phelps, HB 223, has a bill that really would allow local governments the authority to enter into buildings, as I understand it, residential and commercial, to check for zoning requirements. The parishes and cities would have to have, rules about how they would do that. But the goal of that bill is to expand, the power to enforce zoning or local issue, parameters. We've got a bill by Shammerhorn that would allow the voters of the state to vote to amend the Constitution to make it to where certain local officials could only get pay raises through local elections. And so those folks locally, if this bill were to pass and then the voters approved it, the DA, the sheriff, the coroner, the clerk of court, and the assessor, in order for any of those individuals to get a pay raise, the local parish would have to vote to give them that pay raise. HB 259 by Bo Bouye reduces the severance tax on oil. Last time I was here, I talked to y'all about it's kind of complicating our rhetoric because we're talking about, dedicating the severance tax, some larger portion back to locals. But then you have another conversation going on about reducing the severance tax on oil. They're not talking about doing that on gas. But I just wanted to highlight this because this is the bill that aims to reduce the severance tax on oil. Mr. Norton already talked about HB 273, Rodney Shammerhorn, that provides for term limits for parish and city or municipal officials. And my interpretation of this bill is that if it were to pass, again, another constitutional amendment, if you're like in the middle of your 3rd term, you would be capped after that. If you are in your 4th term, if you were in the middle of your 3rd term, I think you would get 1 more, perhaps. But if you're at 4 terms, you'd be over after that. So this, again, if it passed the legislature, it would have to also pass the vote of the public. So, and I'm not suggesting that y'all, one of the things that we can do for y'all in the event that you support or oppose a bill is we take those positions for you at the Capitol. And so there's not going to be, I know y'all voted on the term limit issue, and that did take place after the filing deadlines. So both Thomas Presley and Larry Bagley, they couldn't file those bills because there are public notice requirements you have to put out well in advance of a bill like that. And so I would defer to y'all if this is a bill that you would want to support at the Capitol. It certainly could be construed to be in alignment with your previous vote, but I'm just putting that out there for y'all's discussion. This next bill, it's actually HB 418. It had a typo there, but this reduces the severance tax rate on oil and gas produced for inactive wells and orphan wells. And so it cuts it in half if it's 2 or more years, from 50% to 25%. If it's 5 or more years, inactive or orphaned, it goes from 25% to 12.5%. And so that would, I don't know how much, but that would certainly reduce, to some degree, the avails of the severance tax here in DeSoto Parish. It's my understanding that most of the I mean, I think within the first 2 years of a well is certainly its most productive period. But just so you know, in the out years, there would be a reduction there. HB 446 talks about notices for public meetings. The law requires public bodies to provide certain notices to the public if they're going to have a public meeting. She's going in, and in some places it says you have to mail notice. And so she's changing it to giving notice, which would allow for more flexibility out of a public entity in how they publicize, that they're having a public meeting.
Can we go back to the previous bill,
Yep.
418? It says inactive wells or orphan wells, not producing wells. You said, can you repeat what you said there?
So, yes. So what this bill does is if a well has been inactive or orphaned for 2 or more years, it reduces the severance tax rate. It's currently 50% down to 25%. If it is 5 or more years older, it would go from the current rate of 25% to 12.5%.
Sure. Yeah.
And
So,
my subsequent comment was that I don't know the exact fiscal impact from the tax roll perspective, but it is my understanding that most of the first couple of years of a well is their most productive period.
yeah, that's true, but they wouldn't be considered inactive or orphaned after 2 years. So I
No.
just want to make that clear that we're still producing hydrocarbons from those wells. And 2 to 3 years, yes, they do produce the most that they're going to produce in the first 2 to 3 years, but they're still, especially if we're talking about a horizontal Haynesville shale well or something like that, we're still talking about 20 more years of production.
Right. And so
We're not reducing that after 2 years.
correct.
Right.
So there's a point in time when a well is considered inactive or orphaned, and those are regulatorily determined. There are definitions for all of that. And so this just affects wells that are, by rule, considered to be an inactive well or an orphan well.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear that part up. Yep.
Yes, sir. All right, HB 617, Daryl Deschatel. This is a broadband bill. Vineeth didn't really cover it, but this bill talks about what to do with dollars that were dedicated from the first round of gumbo but haven't been spent. And so it basically disposes of those dollars, and which actually allows it to be spent on other things than broadband. HB 680, Josh Carlson. I know that we've had issues in the past that we've talked about with the parish journal in this parish. And so what this would do is allow posting with your clerk to serve as a substitute or an alternative to the parish journal. And so the clerk could post y'all's notices on their website, and under this law, that would suffice as far as meeting, the public notice requirements. So that's a good tool. You wouldn't have to do it, but it would be an option that you would have there. HB 688 by Larvadane simply requires all local officials to attend trainings, and depending on what type of local official you are, it essentially defers to y'all's association. So if this bill were to pass, the Police Jury Association would determine what kind of trainings y'all, and they probably would administer the trainings too, if I had to guess. But I know that the Police Jury Association already has trainings and things that they do, and I think y'all have the option to do it. If this bill passed, you would have to do it. HB 700, Deschatel, this outlines Gumbo 2.0. So everything that Vineeth was talking about that's going to happen between, later this spring into the end of the year, this bill kind of lays the legal groundwork for that. Senator Mike Reese, we've got SB 64. And the water sector program was using one-time federal cash to give money to local governments for water and sewage. And traditionally, that's not something the state had invested money in. It's a local issue. And so that's what it is, the water sector program. And so it's going in and saying, you can't ask if your project costs more than you expected and you previously received money. It's putting some parameters around that. So, you had to have met certain criteria and demonstrated that you're not at fault for delaying the project a long time. So if you're going to ask for more money, it's just kind of laying out that process. And then this last bill by WOMIC creates the Community Sewage and System Infrastructure Sustainability Act. It's kind of a long bill, but I would say the gist of it is that, if local governments are charging fees or taxes or what have you for sewage, they want the money from that to be put into the sewage system. So it's basically just saying you can't take those dollars and spend them on other stuff, if that makes sense. So moving on from there, severance tax. So as Mr. Norton and he discussed earlier, he came over to Baton Rouge. We met with the governor's office and briefed them on our severance tax issues as he talked about. They said and had said previously that that's a constitutional issue that would probably best be dealt with in this upcoming constitutional convention. And subsequent to that, both the House and the Senate clerks told Thomas Presley and Larry Bagley that their severance tax bills that they were going to run this regular session were not germane to the fiscal session. That is certainly a subjective decision that the leadership gets to make whenever they're trying to control what types of bills get heard. But it's consistent with what we were told, which is that this is, if we're going to be opening up the Constitution for the first time since 1974, let's deal with all these things at the same time and not, try to be dealing with them now. And it would be complicated if you put something to the voters, let's say in the regular session, but then before it gets to the voters, you have a convention that changes what you just did. And so I kind of understand where they're coming from. And we do certainly, have an opportunity in the Constitutional Convention to address that. I am also looking at other ways that we could dedicate the funds this session. I've talked to Presley about that, and there are statutory dedications that we could pursue. And so I just want you to know that we're all hands on deck trying to figure out how best to do that. Capital outlay, my last item, as we've discussed, that is general fund money. Y'all are a huge contributor to the state general fund. It makes a lot of sense that they would give some of that back to you through the capital outlay process. We've made that case to the governor and his team. After Michael left, a couple days later, I went and met with the Division of Administration, had the same conversation with them. And HB2 will be presented, maybe this week or next week. It will drop and be publicly available, at which point we'll see what DeSoto Parish has in the bill. At that point in time, you've got, 4 more opportunities over the next, couple months to amend it and try to get it in a better posture. And so it's obviously a very busy time of year for people in my line of work, and we have a lot to do, and we'll keep you updated. And that concludes my report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, sir. I got one.
Yep.
The HB 89. You say certain parishes. Can you explain what certain parishes are? And
Yes, so, and I'll let me pull up the current law, but what it says is that if you have what his bill does, it says if you have between 0 and 65,000 residents, you can have 3 staff people. And I think right now the threshold is different. So let me pull up what the threshold is right now. Okay.
I believe it's like 25,000.
That is 3 full-time. Correct.
So current law says if your population is 0 to 30,000, you can have 2 people. And if you're 30,000 to 65,000, you can have 3. So this says 0 to, so we would have 2, I guess, right now, based on the current dynamic. So by making it 0 to 65,000, we would fall into that category of being able to have 3 people, along with any parish that's smaller than DeSoto Parish.
Reason I'm asking because, see, the state will be passing this, but the state don't foot the bill.
Well, what they would say is that it's permissive. Just because you can have 3 employees doesn't mean you have to.
Yeah, I mean,
That would be the state
okay.
position, you know?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure because,
Yeah.
I mean, if the state not gonna help pay these people, they shouldn't be adding them on.
Okay, Mr. Robin.
Chance, can you tell us about that conversation you had with the government's people on the capital outlay? Was it a positive conversation? Did you?
So I felt really positive about it. I mean, we represent a few different public entities that have capital outlay requests, and y'all are unique in that you have a really compelling story about your contributions to the general fund. Every local government, just like y'all, contributes to the general fund with, you know, things like sales tax and income tax and whatever other taxes that every parish, people that live there pay, you know. But y'all are among 20 parishes that, in a very unique way, make a substantial additional contribution. And y'all are the number 1 out of those 20. Y'all, so you're by far the most. And so I think when you break that down, in my opinion, it got their attention. I don't think that they knew that, frankly, you know. But
Chance, I have a question. Do you think it would be beneficial if the jury were to adopt a resolution to submit green cards on some of these issues when they come up?
In order for me to feel particularly comfortable going and putting a green or red card in on behalf, and that's what you do at the Capitol. If you support something, you put in a green card. Maybe you do, you know, depending on the issue, I would go testify. I did that last year with Bagley on the severance tax issue. But yes, I mean, if y'all, all these bills that we've talked about today, if any of them you feel that you would want me to go down there and support or oppose, just for my own purposes, it'd be helpful for me to get that directive to go do that.
Okay.
Yeah, particularly, and again, not to overstep, but on the term limit issue, there's a
Well,
statewide
I'm
bill.
specifically
Yeah.
talking about the severance tax issues. I mean, even when it comes up in the Constitutional Convention, because I assume the process would be the same. You'd be submitting green cards for red cards for against these issues, which, I mean, you and I have had this conversation. I've told the jury I'd be willing to go down there and submit a green card myself and submit and give them the figures that they in fact provide back to us. All the numbers I've given them to this date, it comes out of their report. This is the state's report. This is what they collect. So best information is we have are the facts, and the facts that are presented back to us that they calculate and they produce. So
I think it would be, if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to work with Michael and work on language to do something like that specific to the severance tax issue, because it's something that we can go hand to legislators and hand to the governor's staff, and if the jury, you know, and I don't know how we can come up with the language, but if y'all were to urge the state to do right by y'all, you know.
Right.
You know, other than little money back to us, I wish they would just take care of the roads that they're responsible for. Man, the state roads almost as bad as our roads.
They worse than
And
our
if you going up to 175 going north, you know, it's horrible up it going in that section. Let's see if we, ask them to fix the roads they're supposed to fix. If they didn't, we want some money back for ours, but man, take care of their roads.
Yep.
I guess we need to put the bug in our representative here to have that done.
I formerly worked at the Department of Transportation and am very familiar with the state of the roads and on the state system and why it is that way and challenges and things. What I'll tell you is that this governor seems really committed to reforming the DOTD and making them a more efficient agency. And from what I have been told, that's a precursor to any additional revenue for roads and bridges. He said that he's not gonna, dedicate a bunch of new money to roads and bridges if it's putting good money on top of bad. So that's kind of where he is that let's make sure that DOTD is functioning correctly and do that kind of quickly so that there's that public trust that would justify an additional investment in roads. But I mean, look, I don't live here anymore, but I've been around the parish quite a bit. I went and called a bunch of fish on Sabine River 2 weeks ago, and the roads are bad. Although parts of LA5 are a lot better than they used to be.
You've been going down,
171 is terrible.
You've been going down.
South.
Yeah.
You've been going downtown Mansfield on down Polk Street, but it's Highway 184. And it's a federal road, but state take care of federal roads. That one, I mean, it's horrible, man.
What I'd tell you is that every parish in the state would say that their roads are awful.
But tell them they're not putting the money up like we are.
And the
So let
difference
them know
for
they
y'all,
not putting the money
the
up
difference
like
for
we
y'all is that y'all pay
Exactly.
way more than anybody else.
Right.
And y'all's unique contribution causes unique damage to your roads.
Yeah.
And so
Exactly.
my opinion is I feel like we made a really compelling argument. I think we got their attention and that's what we can do.
I think you should show them, man. I mean, we could take something down and show them condition of the roads, film or something, man. That'll hit the nail on the head.
Maybe we could give them a tour.
Yeah.
You want me to bring, I can bring some material down there and show them if you'd like.
Yeah, let 'em
Take a
drive.
cut out of the road.
Well, we appreciate your time, Mr. Chance.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
What you got?
The governor, I think he did some, he made some changes, and I don't know if it was an executive order, but one of his bills were to give juveniles more jail time. That was one of them, right? And another one was to conceal weapons. No longer have to be tested or have to take a test for it.
Right.
Any reason you give them why he made those changes? Because it seemed like you opened the door. In one of the sessions we had at the Police Jury Association I went to, and they talked about the juvenile crime in Louisiana, and we're running out of space in our jail systems and our prison systems, and they send them over to, I think, South Carolina, maybe one of the states, and other states, and it costs the parish have to pay for those, and it costs them an economical amount of money to fund that. So it seems like this is gonna make it even more.
Yeah, I think some of your questions I couldn't possibly answer because I'm not the governor. But what I would say is that DeSoto Parish, like all parishes, have a local detention center that when a juvenile's detained or whatever the terminology is, they're taken to Ware Youth Center, and that's in Red River Parish, and y'all are part of a multi-parish, cluster up in this area. That the Ware Youth Center is that local detention center. Once they are, post adjudication, so they've been sentenced, they then go, if they're male, they go somewhere else in the state to a state facility. And if they're female, traditionally they stay at Ware. They've taken some females out of Ware. But all that being said, yes, the change to the law would require juveniles who commit really violent crimes, they would have a mandatory sentence of no less than 3 years. And typically right now, that discretion would have been with the judge to do less than that. And they don't have that discretion anymore. And so, yeah, is there a cost associated with that? Absolutely. And it would be borne by the state general fund.
I was under the impression there was more than that, but anyway, we'll move on to.
I mean, with respect to the other item, I mean, there's some folks who feel strongly that obviously you should not have to do a concealed carry class. And there
Shouldn't have to?
should not have to. And there were,
baby, they think they got trouble though now.
I'm telling you,
just
man,
watch and see.
Those people.
That open the doors, baby.
I didn't step foot in the Capitol during those sessions, and I was happy to not be there.
Yeah. Thank you, Chance.
Thank you.
Yeah,
We're down to the treasurer financial report.
they got some trouble now. Watch.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Lilly.
Before I just give you a summary of this, I just want to let you know that we have been working to try to finish doing the entries for the end of the year for 2023. Auditors should be here in April. So hopefully for March financials, we'll have a more clear picture of where we were at the end of 2023, because everything has been done in enter, with the exception of whatever the auditors will come and do on their final entries. For the month of February, the general fund, we received $4 million in ad valorem tax. I don't foresee this number changing much throughout the year. We pretty much receive everything on the first 2 months. As you can see, we did have a loss on sales of investment this month. That is a moving number. It moves every month up and down depending on market conditions. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Overall expenses are at 17.19%, which is about 1% above expectations. The road fund, we received $5.4 million in ad valorem tax. The sales tax collections have slightly decreased in the last 2 months by about 3%. Total public work expenses are about 16.03%, right at where they should be for this time of the month. Capital expenses are at 3.07%. The witness and jurors, we received $21,921 in revenues, with the expenditures at $4,215. A net change in the fund balance of $17,706. There is, due to staffing changes and duties, the line item for the judicial administrator reimbursement has not seen any expenses. And I don't foresee that changing for the 2023 year. They did some staffing moving around, that they're no longer going to be using that line item. The jail fund, we received $232,198 was collected in sales tax. That is lower by about $46,801 than the projected amount. The operational expenses are at 18.82%. Once again, that may be a little bit higher due to the accruals that had not been reflected. No activity for the correctional fund. Solid waste, we received about $4.6 million in ad valorem tax and about $348,297 from sales tax. That's about $70,203 lower than the budgeted amount. Landfill operational expense are at 20%. And you can see that the land marketing fee line item, it's at 47%. Want to bring that to your attention. That was due to a calculation error on their last 2 payments. We actually included the Pratt industry commission when we shouldn't have, due to that new agreement. So that's been corrected. The compactor size, the operational expenses are about 18.54%. They're a little bit higher than where they should be. That's due to some maintenance on the grounds that I'm hoping some of the accrual will take care of that. The criminal court fund, we received $114,938 in revenue, and we spent $111,137. That's a net change in the fund balance of $3,801. Salaries for that are at 22%. This is due to the staffing changes for that judicial administrator. They're now being paid out of the payroll fund instead of being reimbursed by accounts payable. So we'll just need to make a line item adjustment to move what we had allocated for that line item into salaries, and that will bring it down from the 22%. Office of Community Service, revenues right on target, and so are budgeted expenses. Program salaries for HUD, that needs to just be reclassified, hoping to finish that at the end of the quarter. Airport fund, the revenues are at 6.23%, while the operating expenses are at 10.08%. As I mentioned in the general fund, the airport investments, they also had a loss on the investments for the month of February. Rental assistance, revenues are at 17.17%, and expenses are at 16.48%. Eastside Sewer, we spent $177 in utilities. Those utilities have not been transferred to the city of Mansfield, so they'll start picking up that bill. And the demolition of the sewer system itself, it's in the works. The low quote came in by DM Bell Construction at $23,850. Originally, we had budgeted about $35,000 to cover that demolition, so that was a really good number. Animal service, the fees revenues are at 17.43%, while contributions are only at 2%. However, y'all heard Mr. Norton reported that donation, that grant that they received for their pharmaceutical product. That's a value of $110,902. That will be booked to be able to reflect that in the financials. Expenses are about 15.36%. The sinking fund, the activity on that was the interest of $8,336, and that was the only activity. Does anybody have questions on the financials?
Any questions? Okay, no questions. Thank you, Ms. Lilly. Keep up the good work.
Motion to approve the report.
Got a motion from Mr. Baker to approve the report.
Yeah.
Second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion? There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Item 4, accept the financial statement as of February 29th, 2024, and year-to-date to budget current report, actual report.
We just did that.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. You got a little ahead of me. All right, approve of minutes. February 20th, 24, regular meeting, March 4th, 2024, administrative, budget, finance, solid waste, personnel, and road committee meetings.
So move with all necessary correction.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Ms. Burrell. Any discussion on approval of minutes? If not, please vote. Motion passes. Old business, motion to defer the discussion on insurance to June 2024 regular meeting.
Make a motion.
Got a motion by
Me.
Mr.
Latham.
Lathan, sorry. Have a second by Mrs. Simpson. Any discussion?
So it's gonna move to June.
There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Resolution, recommend authorizing president to sign a resolution to declare a certain movable property surplus and schedule a sale of surplus as per state law. Have a motion,
Make a motion.
got a motion by Mr. Holmes. Second by Mr. Raines. Discussion? There's no discussion, please vote. Got one remaining. Thank you. Motion passes.
Oh, that's.
Motion passes. Number 8, recommend authorize the president to sign a resolution approving the insurance sale or delivery of a taxable excess revenue bond of Waterworks District 1 of the Parish of DeSoto, State of Louisiana, in amount not to exceed $500,000 and providing for other matters related thereto.
So this one is.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker.
Second.
Who second? Oh, second by Mr. Jones. Discussion? There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Administrative item.
Administrative items, number 9, recommend selling the property located at the sheriff's training facility, 120 Sprocket Lane, to the sheriff at market value, and all proceeds to be dedicated to the jail fund.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker,
Second.
second by Mr. Clark. Discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to discuss this because when this went through the committee, at the committee meeting, we were looking at, something totally different than what we looking at today. For a matter of fact, it was pictures and stuff. The stuff that was up there now, that's the first problem I have. Second problem I have, I don't think we've gone through the proper procedures. And maybe, our attorney can tell us that, because from what I researched and saw, before we can sell any of the parish property, there's certain procedures we need to been followed, and we didn't follow any of these. Has this been, a notice been put in the paper? From what I'm understanding, if we sell property, it's got to be property that's no longer needed by the public. That's the first thing. Second of all, it has to be advertised in the paper so many consecutive times, and everybody have a right to bid on it. So I'm gonna make an alternate motion until we find out what's the laws and what we should have be doing in order to sell property, the parish property. Then we need to follow the right procedures. I wanna know legally, is this the right thing we should have been doing in the first place? Second of all, the school board, this property that I'm seeing here now, is that the lots that the school board asked for?
No,
No.
ma'am.
Or is this adjacent to the, what that is, the
Grace
Grace
Home.
House?
No,
Grace
ma'am.
Home?
No.
No, ma'am, those are not the lots.
Okay, still, we need to know that we doing this in the right manner. Because before we sell any of the, our constituents' property, we supposed to go through a proper channel, and we didn't do that.
So, I'm a little confused. You said it has to be declared not usable, but if you do that, then none of the property that Jerry has could be sold, because technically, I mean, there's always could be use for it.
I'm just telling you what the law says.
I understand, and I mean, we can look into that, but the jury is advertised to sell these properties, and they've been advertised to sell these properties for a lot longer than I've been here, so.
I mean, just 'cause we been doing it wrong, don't mean we don't need to start doing it right. I mean, we need corrected a lot of things that y'all say we weren't doing right, and we need corrected. I'm telling y'all, this not the right way of going, and it's been brought to my attention by 3-4 different people that is not the right proper way to do it. So our attorney needs to look into it. And,
I second that motion.
Well, I was about to say, you got a second on the alternate motion.
I'll be happy to look into it for you and report on the specific procedures and find out from Michael exactly what has been done in this particular case.
So we got a motion
Have
on,
that for us next
Repeat the
month.
alternate motion?
Sure.
Next month, you can
Yeah.
have that.
Repeat the alternate
so
motion?
we got an alternate motion on the floor to defer.
Are we're not mistaking movable property and immovable property. I know with movable property, like the equipment and things like that, we have to advertise it, and we have to auction it off at highest bid. But immovable property, such as property that's land and things of that sort, we've sold that in the past. And I don't know if they are the same as far as
yes, sir.
having to do.
And that was to my question,
No.
that the jury had made a motion to put this stuff up for sale so long ago, and it's still up for sale. I didn't know what Ms. Burrow was referring to, but I mean, I'm okay with checking that out, Ms.
Yeah,
Burrow.
you need to check it out, cause it
But-
says property. It don't say no move. It says in order to sell land, public property, land.
I can have a report for you next meeting.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
you, ma'am.
So we got an alternate motion on the floor, just to defer it
To get more information.
to more information, and Mr. Fuller seconded.
And we're just gonna do it at the regular meeting
Or committee. I don't
Our
care.
committee.
Go back through.
Yeah, cause we need
Go
to
back
make
through
sure we.
committee.
do
So we need to
everything.
vote on the alternate motion.
Is the motion for the committee meeting or the regular meeting? Either's fine.
Probably
with
go
me.
back through.
Committee.
That's what I would think. Okay.
Okay, we got an alternate motion on the floor for a committee meeting in April. Please vote. Motion passes.
On item number 10, recommends approving the updated rules and bylaws.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion by Mrs. Boyd.
Second, I read, man.
Thank you. Second by Ms. Burrell. There any discussion? If there's no discussion, please vote.
Highlighted areas.
Motion passes.
On item number 11, recommends approving the recommendation by the DeSoto Parish Planning Commission suggesting implementing a moratorium for a period of 1 year on subdivided land if the lots are 1 acre or larger and do not have a frontage to an existing parish or state-maintained roadway unless they meet all the DeSoto Parish subdivision regulation requirements.
So move.
Second.
Got a mover made the motion by Mr. Jones. Who second? Mr. Fuller second,
Made the
and Ms.
motion.
Burrell? Oh, you made the motion. Mr. Fuller made the motion, I'm sorry.
You must have overshot me. I didn't hear it.
We didn't hear you.
I let you have it this time, man. Yeah.
All right, please vote.
You can have it.
Both of y'all made
Let's put it on with his hand.
Motion passes.
On item number 12, recommends approving the recommendation by the DeSoto Parish Planning Commission suggesting implementing a moratorium for a period of 6 months on all future subdivisions to disallow the selling of any lots by the developer utilizing the statement, in quotation marks, "clear title is not available on any lot until all improvements and installations have been made." As a stated condition in Part 3, Section D3 in the DeSoto Parish subdivision regulations, the developer will be allowed to sell lots if one of the 3 remaining conditions listed in Part 3, Section D1, D2, and D4 are met.
So move.
You can have that one.
Mr. Jones made the motion.
I
Yeah.
second that.
Ms. Burrell and Mr. Fuller second. Please vote. There's no discussion. Motion passes.
Item number 13 recommends appointing Ashley Hadwin or Betty Carter to the Planning Commission, serving a 6-year term.
Do we have a motion so we can vote?
Yes.
Motion. Got it. Motion by Mr. Raines, second by Mr. Fuller. And how would you like to do this, Mr. Holmes? Would you like to vote each one of them?
Yes, I guess we'd vote on either one.
Okay, for Ms. Ashley first.
Roll call's fine with me.
Roll call is fine. Mrs. Ashley, we'll start from Mr. Fuller.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
This is
No.
Ms. Ashley, okay.
Yes.
I lost count because it was going so fast.
No, Betty, we're gonna vote for both of those, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
No.
You voted no, Ms. Trina?
I'm gonna know.
Oh, let's just back up. We'll just start over. Let's just start over. Slow, please.
Both of them gonna have a chance.
This
to
is
be
for
in.
Mrs. Ashley. Mr. Fuller?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
How many years do you have?
6.
Yeah. Just making sure.
Yes, I got 6.
6 yes with Miss Ashley. Mrs. Carter. Mr. Baker.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
No. Yes.
No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay. Miss Ashley have it. Okay.
6-5.
Ms.
Yes,
Hadwin's
yes, sir.
here tonight, if y'all wanted to meet her.
She's here?
Yes.
Would you please stand?
Hello,
Hello.
can I introduce myself?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ashley Hadwin. I'll do a brief bio of myself. My husband and I, Derek, moved to Gloucester 13 years ago to raise our family. Our son Tyler will be graduating from North DeSoto in May and will be pursuing a welding career after finishing the NLTCC welding program here in Mansfield in June. Since our establishment in DeSoto Parish, Derek started a plumbing business and has taken care of local communities and business for over 4 years. I began my career in the oil and gas industry after completing my associates in business and accounting from Southern University of Shreveport, as well as getting my bachelor's degree from Wiley College. I am currently employed with CNC Oilfield Services, which is located in Frierson. As I am the business development manager there. During my journey with oil and gas, I've experienced in building relationships, drilling budgets, construction planning, bid processes, and much more. Just to give you an example, I managed permitting, planning, construction, operation of Bulldog Oilfield Services saltwater disposal facility located on Park Road in Frierson. This opportunity not only provided insight to a sector of the oil and gas business that I was not familiar with, but it opened the door to community involvement. See, this project took over 3 years to get off the ground, but after a few months, it was closed. Due to strict policy and regulation, the facility got closed. This led to my involvement with community and to serve on the Republican State Central Committee for 38B, for the past 2 years, as well as involved in communication with local governing bodies and legislation to help bring business back to our parish. I also serve on the Arklatek Oilman Board, the Haynesville Shell Bass Tournament,
which are participating 501c3 organizations and that make contributions to our communities for which we serve. Madam Juror, during the last meeting, my name was nominated to fill the seat on the Planning Commission. You tabled that nomination and spoke about needing diversity. I'd like to share the definition of diversity: the practice or quality of including or involving people for a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds and of different genders, sexual orientation, etc. I agree we need diversity in making the selection, but just because they have the range of different social or ethnical background or different gender, sexual orientation doesn't mean that they qualify for the position. When making a decision for the Planning Commission, in my opinion, that individual needs to have the ability to listen, knowledge and understanding of community issues, strong ability to communicate, being fair and open-minded, and relevant experience with practice of including and involving a different range of different social and ethnical backgrounds, gender, and sexual orientations. The reason why I would like to be on the Planning Commission is because I like change. Change brings growth. I want to see my parish to continue to grow. Of course, I have significant background in building that growth, and also would be an unbiased opinion without having a financial gain. I did notice when doing a little research on the Planning Commission's website that it's not current. I'd like to make that change. I noticed that only things were up until 2023. A lot of people deal with public announcement electronically, so that was something I saw. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you for
so
having me on
much.
board.
Excuse me, since
Good
you
luck.
addressed me,
Yes, ma'am.
do you know Miss Carter?
I do not. I do not. I didn't.
Because you really, the way I'm taking you saying she's not qualified?
I didn't say that.
Oh,
I
no.
was. It was
Is that
brought.
what you're
I
saying?
didn't know her name. I didn't know her name, so I wasn't able to research her. I didn't
Okay,
say
'cause
it was.
She's very well qualified,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
as you are.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
wanted it not only for diversity, I wanted somebody on this end of the parish so the jurors down here could be represented on the planning committee.
I work in this district as well. I like to see growth from a
Yeah, but
commercial
I would love to
standpoint.
see growth too. And we all know where all the growth is going on. I want somebody to represent us so we can see some growth to come on this end of the parish too.
I understand.
Also.
I
Thank you, Ms.
understand.
Ashton.
I have
Thank
one
you.
question.
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
you say Southern?
Yes, ma'am. Southern University Street.
I guess because the reason I said it because I'm a Grambling night.
Okay.
But okay.
Congratulations on them winning basketball.
I know, right?
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay.
Did you say Southern and Shreveport?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
There you go. There you go.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Budget and finance, please.
Budget and Finance recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with the town of Logansport and amend the budget in the amount of $5,000 for help with the River City Fest.
So moved.
Second.
Thought you was gonna make the motion. I got a motion made by Mr.
I was trying to
Simpson.
help him out over here.
The second by Mr. Clark. Would you please vote?
These items that we're amending the budget for, another one of these items that they couldn't get in before the end of the year last year. This budget.
Is
Yes,
this
sir.
one in minutes?
Yes, sir.
She tried to send the CEA back in November, but it went to the wrong email address, so we got it corrected. So next year it'll be good.
And I'm here, and Ms. Little can tell you that was
Right.
the case, it went to the wrong email address.
Okay.
Okay. Also, you know how I feel about the town of Logansport and the fact that we give them money, and we've given them $300,000 in for a baseball or softball fields and parks, and that money was spent and nothing's been done. And since, I think they've given part of that property to the fire department now, so I don't know where that stands, but I still feel like they did not live up to their CEA when it comes to, taking that money and accepting it from the parish and fulfilling the CEA also. So, just to let you know, that's the way I feel about
All right.
giving money to Logan Sport.
Thank you, sir. We got 5 remaining. Please vote. Motion passes.
Recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with Fire District 1 and amend the budget in the amount of $2,500 for the help with the 4th of July fireworks display.
Make a motion?
Mr. Clark made the motion.
That's it.
We have a second by Mr. Fuller. Discussion? There's no discussion. Please vote. Yes, ma'am. Motion passes.
I'm trying to write them all down.
Number 16, recommends awarding low bid to JPS Motors for vehicle purchases.
So moved.
Mr. Jones made the motion. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Simpson. Discussion?
Who is JPA?
There's no discussion.
It's a dealership, auto dealership.
Where by? Emmanuel?
No.
Where?
Shreveport, I imagine.
Minden, I think.
Where's this JPA?
They're in Acadian, I believe, or Arcadia.
Did we get bids from DeSoto Parish dealerships?
No, sir, that was the only bid that we get. And it was advertised twice.
Where's this JPS Motors?
Since we ain't finished, we can't redo it.
So it was advertised.
Ain't catch no vote yet. The vote
Well, I mean, they knew about it twice, so evidently they didn't want to be a part of it. Please vote. Motion passes. Personnel item, please.
Personnel item. Personnel recommend approving the job description and position for engineering technician.
So move.
Got a motion made by Mr. Fuller,
Second?
second by Mr. Clark.
It has been moved in second. Can we please get a vote, please? Yeah, give me a vote, please.
They go to president's
One
job.
more
there.
We
remaining.
got, hey,
I voted.
motion
Motion
passes.
passed. Oh, well, I didn't know.
You taking over, man. You just
Well,
taking
I
over.
didn't know Mr. Holmes did his, so I did
If
mine.
anybody want to help me, I will not stop.
That's right.
Road item, please.
Mr. Holmes did his.
Mr. President, road items recommend approving the E911 naming of, was that Chasen Private Drive off of Depot Road and Florida Private Drive off of Cowboy Lane in Keachai.
I'll make a motion.
I got a motion by Mr. Holmes.
Second.
A second by Mr. Parker.
Get to do yours.
So we changing it.
Please vote.
Changing the name.
No,
Okay, I see it.
Got one remaining.
Yeah, I'm saying you did it. So what you mean?
Ms. Baru. Motion passes. Solid waste item.
Solid Waste recommends awarding the high bid to W.C. Robbins LLC doing business as DeSoto Iron Metal for the scrap metal.
Do we have someone make the motion? Motion. Got a motion by Mr. Ryan. Second. Second by Mr. Parker. Discussion.
Oh, I'm just gonna say this and I'm gonna let this alone. Oh, this is wrong. And I don't care how y'all try to dress it up, it's still wrong. And if it had been one of us, we'll be in jail right now. I probably never would've got to make bond. But, I just wanna say, it's a God, and he looking right at y'all in your wrongness. I just cannot see this happening, and y'all know in good faith that this man took advantage of the people of this parish, and y'all allow him to get the bid once again. But you can rest assured, and I know y'all gonna pass it, I'm gonna be watching them like a hawk. Cause, the problem I got with this is cause this something that had already been reported about this scrap iron. Even before this even came up, that young man, I'll never forget, he told y'all that this person was down there taking that scrap iron. He came to me and he said it was theft going on. I took it to the state police. One of the jurors wanted to bring it back down here to the sheriff's office. It got swept right up under the rug. Then it comes back to show you how God works. It comes back again for the second time, and he's still getting away with it. But like I say, I hope the people watch it, and I'm telling y'all now, I'm going on Facebook and talk about this, because this sad to me that a person could do this and take from our taxpayer, and it gets swept up under the rug. That's really a sad situation.
There's no more discussion, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommends awarding the low bid for 2 roll-off trucks at the landfill.
Make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Holmes. Do I have a second by Mr. Parker? Discussion. If there's no discussion, please vote. Got one remaining. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn? Got a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We'll adjourn. Good night, everyone.
Did you drop it? Yes, ma'am, there it is.